So, before we start, this is just for a bit of fun talking about the different game modes of Hearthstone and what tends to come along with it. It's not hating on anyone for playing any mode, just having a fun discussion. So, let's get into it. The stereotypes of Hearthstone game modes. First off, standard. So, this is how the game is supposed to be played. As a free-to-play, you get a few decks, but you rock out with them, upgrading them as each new set comes out, making it better inch by inch, wrecking the competition with your experience piloting your deck, or just feeling really bad if it's countered by the current meta. Though, if you play or have played for a long time, you get to play a meta that won't exist anywhere else. Though, both get kind of broken with each rotation of sets, making the basic set and incoming core set dictate which classes are good. So, after a rotation, the meta tends to be super stale. But, right before the rotation, that is the peak gameplay time. There's tons of valid decks. Now, of course, there will always be the top few that everyone complains about and are so busted, but I mean, it's just inherently a part of the game. So, for standard, it might be a bit elitist, and, they always think their mode is the best. But, I mean, doesn't every mode think that? Next up, Wild. You've been around for a long time, or have watched videos from the game a long time ago wanting to capture that period, or maybe an old player just getting back, or maybe you've seen all the wacky shenanigans that can be done in Wild. There's many reasons to play Wild. It has such a large variety of different playstyles that whatever reason you have, they're all valid. If you like long, wacky combos done, you got it. You like super control decks, done. You like insanely fast aggro decks, done. And the special thing is, all of these are still beatable. There are tech cards for all the matchups if you really hate a deck, like Res Priest, just transform their minions. There's always a way to ruin them. And so, all of these are very good reasons to play Wild, which is the wildest game mode. Next up, Arena. So, Wild players have been around for a long time, but the dedicated Arena players, they are a different breed. They are some of the oldest, richest, and strongest players around. Though, through drafting, they learn the intricacies of what makes classes strong and what makes them weak. Though, if you bring them into another game mode, they may struggle with things past tempo good. Though, they rock the tempo game. And, they bring a bit of that value train right along with it, stomping enemies with some of the weakest cards in the game, squeezing every last bit of value they can out of them. Truly warriors who just capture the essence of every single card in Hearthstone. Next up, Duels. Next up, Duels. They loved the single player content back in the day, and, they wanted to try it out with some PvP. With all the broken decks, the strongest aggressive decks, the beefiest control decks. I mean, that really only happens in the late game, though, after you've already experienced the rough first few fights that are super reliant on your base deck. But, I mean, it hasn't really been around long enough to really develop much of a stereotype. Hopefully, we get to really explore what Duels can really bring to the Hearthstone community. It has a lot of potential. I see an upside coming to it soon. Next up, one of the biggest game modes of Hearthstone, Battlegrounds. You probably heard of this game mode through videos or streams. I mean, it dominates the Twitch and YouTube scene for Hearthstone. I mean, I get it. You see all those huge numbers with even bigger hits? Because, I mean, big numbers are really fun to see. Or maybe you just wanted to try out Hearthstone and you can't quite afford a good deck yet, so you get to play with this while still interacting with all the very satisfying music and amazing cards, wonderful voice acting such as Bob. We love Bob here. And you just get to have the full free experience. Play all the different tribes, it's wonderful. And I mean, most of the heroes are pretty good, except for Mr. Bigglesworth. But I mean, that's negatable. Finally, single player. Sometimes PvP can be pretty stressful, and the single player game modes Hearthstone has provide a really nice way to relax. You don't have to worry about having on the cards, you get to experience all kinds of different special hero powers and fights. You can have more story things, or you can do some more dungeon run things, replayability, or, hard fights, whatever you want. It's like the lo-fi beats of Hearthstone. It's for all those people looking for a more relaxed experience of Hearthstone. So there you go. Those are my opinions towards the stereotypes of Hearthstone. I hope you enjoyed and hope to see you another time. Bye-bye.